Hi, and welcome along to the first edition of World Cup Daily. We're going to be taking a look on this show daily, or should I say, taking a daily look at the World Cup and also flinging in some Arsenal news and Arsenal transfer news for the duration of the World Cup. So I'm going to get to the transfer news a little later on, but I'm going to start off with talking about the World Cup, that game last night, Brazil versus Croatia. And the World Cup, to me, off to a fantastic start. Now, listen, don't get me wrong, it's a bit of a controversial game. A dodgy penalty for Brazil at best. I mean, it wasn't a penalty, let's face it. That wasn't a penalty. Fred dived. A lot of people criticising the referee today, but actually, Fred's the one that should be criticised because, you know, minimal contact and he just went down on the floor. The only thing I would say was Lovren, why put your pressure on yourself by trying to tug the player, even though it was just a slight tug? You know that Brazil are playing at home. You know that the whole place, the whole nation are behind them. You're not going to get many decisions, and he didn't. And listen, let's face it, I thought that Brazil deserved to win the game. Croatia were very good, by the way, but I thought that Brazil deserved to win the game. They went out there to win. They attacked. Neymar was excellent. Oscar was unreal in that game. It makes you wonder why Chelsea needed to buy Fabregas, but we'll come to that one later on. And a 3-1 victory to Brazil. And listen, let's face it, for the tournament, it's a great thing when the host team wins the opening game. It just sets the whole thing in motion, sets it alight. I mean, I really felt yesterday that the World Cup had begun. I watched the game at a Brazilian bar in Camden called Made in Brazil. They had Brazilian drummers there. They had some beautiful women there. It was absolutely, you know, you felt like you were in Brazil, and it was absolutely awesome. And Brazil got off to a winning start. And how good was that national anthem of Brazil? I love that anthem. When they all started singing that, the fans, the players, I mean, listen, a lot of people were looking on that last night and they were saying, Brazil, yeah, they were okay, but they're not going to win the World Cup like that and blah, blah, blah. It's their first game. They would have been very, very nervous, and they looked very nervous in the first sort of 20 minutes. But once they settled down, they looked decent. And with, as I said, with that crowd, that rousing anthem, the players all playing out of their skins for the team, they're going to be very, very hard to get past Brazil. I'll tell you, as the tournament goes on and as the tournament grows, they're going to get better. And with, as I said, they'll get decisions because they're playing at home, and that always happens in the World Cup. Even back to '66 when we won it. I mean, listen, you get decisions when you're playing at home, and they've got, you know, those players last night. I mean, Luiz, I thought, played very well, out of his skin. He fought for everything. So it's going to be very, very, very difficult to get past Brazil. It's going to take a good team to beat them, and I don't think you can judge it all on their performance last night. I think that they will get better on Brazil, and I still fancy them to win the World Cup, even after last night them not being the greatest, but 3-1 victory, and you know, they showed glimpses of what's to come in this World Cup. So World Cup off to a great start. And by the way, have a look at a couple of those videos that we did last night with some Brazilian fans. Absolutely brilliant. Let's move on now to Cesc Fabregas. Cesc Fabregas, of course, signed for Chelsea yesterday. Oh, Chelsea again. Right, another Arsenal player, or ex-Arsenal player, should I say, ending up at one of our rivals. And listen, I did a video about it yesterday, and I think you guys all know my opinion on it by now. Listen, Arsenal did not need Cesc Fabregas. We've got Aaron Ramsey there, we've got Jack Wilshere there, Corzola, we've got Ozil. I mean, we've got listen, if there's one position where we've got an abundance of players that can play that position, and that is that creative midfielder position. We don't need Cesc Fabregas. If Cesc Fabregas had gone to Juventus or Milan or any other club like that, it wouldn't even be an issue, I don't think, for Arsenal fans right now. The issue is that we're seeing another one of our ex-players, one of our so-called legends, turning up at one of our biggest rivals, and it hurts to see him there. But at the end of the day, my opinion is this: if Arsenal make the right signings, right, we won't even, I don't think it will be an issue. But the pressure is on Arsene Wenger now. He's got to go with a couple of marquee big signings, or fans are going to be very, very unhappy, because we know we could have had Cesc Fabregas. We also know, reading into the deal, that Arsenal are going to get £5 to £6 million out of the deal. So that's more money, again, into the coffers to go and get players. So for me, there is absolutely no excuse for Arsene Wenger, Ivan Gazidis, or the board to come up short in this transfer window. We must get a couple of marquee signings. We must get the players we need. No excuses, none. Because if we don't, everybody's going to say, well, we could have had a world-class player, even though, yes, we don't really need him, but we could have had a world-class player and we didn't get him. So it's very, very important for Arsenal, and it's a lot of pressure. But as I said, boiling down to it, I don't think we really need Cesc Fabregas. That's the long and short of it. It hurts to see him in a blue shirt. I didn't like the way they did it yesterday. Cesk's team, very smart, announcing the signing on the day of the World Cup, because they knew everybody would be talking about the Brazilian opening game. So it's almost like they buried a bit of bad news, and Cesc was able to sort of get away with it, sort of thing. But listen, fair play to Cesc Fabregas. He was a brilliant player when he was at Arsenal. Whether he's as good as that now, we don't even know. Why did Barcelona let him go? Why were Barcelona fans booing him in the latter stages of his games at Barcelona? It was him who wanted to leave. It was him who pushed through a move to go to Barcelona. Arsenal have got to move on, and if we get the right players, I don't have a problem with it. But pressure is on Arsene Wenger. The pressure is certainly on. Big signings is what we want to see, because we're trying to operate like an elite club. That's what we're supposed to be. And you don't see players from elite clubs going to their rivals as much as what's happened to Arsenal. And Arsenal fans are getting a bit fed up of it. And talking of that, Bakary Sagna looks like he's about to go to Manchester City. Rumours out there that he turned down Manchester United to go to Manchester City. Oh, thank you, Bakary. Again, another player, a stalwart player that's been at Arsenal for years and years, ends up at one of our rivals. Again, we're an elite club. We're supposed to be. This is happening too often. I don't want to see this happening anymore. I don't want to see our top players ending up at our rivals. But if we replace Bakary Sagna correctly, I don't think people will have so much of a problem with it. But we must replace them with the proper players. One last player to tell you about that has been linked with a move to Arsenal today, and that's Pepe Reina. Of course, he's been playing his football over there in Napoli. He's on loan from Liverpool. Liverpool trying to get rid of him, get rid of that high wages. He's been linked with a move to Arsenal. Arsenal fancied him a couple of years ago. They really wanted to bring Pepe Reina in when he was at Liverpool. Not sure whether that one will happen or not, but look out for that. And just lastly, got to tell you about the games happening today in the World Cup. In Group A, it's Mexico versus Cameroon. That should be a great one. And then later on in the evening, the big one, the one that I'm really, really looking forward to seeing, and that is Spain against Mexico. No, it's not to watch Cesc Fabregas. Hopefully we'll get to see Santi Cazorla playing in that game. The real deal, right, playing in that game. And it should be a great game. I mean, you know, let's face it, that's such, you know, Spain versus Holland, Spain versus Holland, that's going to be an absolutely brilliant game. Quality players on both sides. I mean, Iron Robin, RVP, I mean, it should be a really good matchup, and it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out on top in that game. But Spain versus Holland, and then that's followed by Chile versus Australia. That's the late game at 11 o'clock UK time. And one last thing just before I go, don't forget to check out a poll that's going to be on our website. The poll is asking the question, were Arsenal right to sell Cesc Fabregas? Or, sorry, not to sell him, because it seems like we sold him and we haven't. Remember, he's not even our player, he's a Barcelona player. Were Arsenal right not to sign Cesc Fabregas? That's what I wanted to say. Were Arsenal right not to sign Cesc Fabregas? Yes or no? Vote in that, and I'll announce the winners tomorrow. But looking forward to the World Cup games today. Let's hope they're as good as last night's games. And thanks for watching World Cup Daily.